When was the last time you raised your hand on a lesson twice in a row? Maybe 3 times? Maybe you were brave and raised 4 times? Never. Right. How do classmates tend to look at someone who does? First time, silence, second, maybe an annoyed sigh. But by the third or fourth, there is always that look. The eye roll, the half laugh, the wow, our Mr. Nerd again, or can you stop? That lands like a attorney verdict. Eventually, demonstrating your interest in the subject, school life, and academic future becomes awkward, then embarrassing. Your passion to get the answers correct, to get a nice score on a test, or even to win an Olympiad becomes a joke. We were taught early that being observed while paying too much attention makes you a target. But when did hard work and curiosity turn into something that we should restrict or even deny having? 7th grade. I remember the hard sheer scratch of the uniform collar, the math book folded at my elbow. I raised my hand more than anyone. I read extra pages and stayed after to ask questions. And had ugly glasses. And the room reacted. I wasn't hiding homework like contraband, but I learned to fold my projects away into private folders instead of showing them on a table, because being seen felt risky to my reputation. Once I stopped being visible, teachers stopped giving me feedback. And that happened because if you don't surface your work, there is nothing for others to comment on. Practice without critique is like rowing with one oar. You go in circles. And that's how my genuine interest, curiosity, and passion for getting answers right and academically turned into a joke. And soon I realized I wasn't the only one. Many of us start hiding our effort just to blend in, to avoid those small social punishments that come with being too eager. Maybe you don't want to get into top US university, perhaps you just love learning, or maybe you do not. Either way, we see those small social punishments piling up. They bruise feelings and change behavior. Effort becomes a stigma because standing out invites classmates, policing norms that reward effortless competence, and showing effort marks you different, threatening peer status. Peer pressure and impression management push students to hide persistence. Meta-analytical reviews show effect sizes to be around a constant of minus 0.26 across 118 studies, and this matters at scale. International study of Hendricks and others of those identified as high ability students were significantly more likely to report a stronger preference to be alone and more often cited the negative motivation, feeling unable to be myself around others. And there is science behind that cost. When people expect to be judged by a negative stereotype, their mental load increases and performance drops, a phenomenon called stereotype threat. And it matters a lot. Global data shows exclusion due to these exact signs of visible effort, and it's not a rare anomaly. It affects roughly 1 in 3 learners in schools worldwide, and cyberbullying is only growing. That means that millions of teenagers feel pressure to hide who they are and what they really do. Studies of peer interaction from 62 articles, with 71 studies into peer interaction involving around a total of 7,000, show that learning outcomes and self-efficacy of learners improve, producing the mean effect size of 0.4 when students engage with one another, when work is public and discussed. So when we push work into private, we sabotage the learning itself. Over time, that silence compounds and fewer students practice public problem solving, fewer become resilient to critique, and the pipeline towards advanced studies and innovative careers narrows. We risk normalizing concealment. We train people to minimize visible effort, to avoid tiny public risks that lead to mastery. Then comes the ridge, the moment you climb that makes your legs shake and your hand buzz. Go back to safety or push for the summit. For me, that ridge wasn't the lunch table, it was the informatics lesson. I was sitting there nervous when the door opened and the director walked in, not alone but with half of the administration trailing behind him. And in his hand was a book. That was my published research paper with my initials, representing all the night emails and meticulous statistics. The director asked me to stand as my law teacher recounted the story. No eye rolling, no snickering, just shocked looks and slow realization that they had been witnessing something they hadn't understood. That is the amount of ridge I want you to feel, teetering between the shame and recognition. is the moment where everything could have retreated into obscurity, or it could change the room's rules. And for me, it did. The first time a visible, nerdy effort was met with no eye rolls, but with two classmates approaching after class to ask how I started, what I planned next, and how they could begin their own projects. That shift showed me a wasteful battle of trying to make the skeptics look and think your personality and work is cool by adjusting. Instead, you truly win by doing the work openly, enough that the right people find the courage to follow. Let's change the variables of the system which says that being over the top is boring and useless. That is the amount of which I want you now to feel. Let's build the school of our dreams from scratch, where curiosity actually counts for something. Start small. After every project, contest, or extra experiment, show it, even on the school notice board. Ask your teacher to give curiosity credits for visible initiative. These are tiny public signals that effort matters. It could be one extra grade point for presenting your independent work, short feature in a school newsletter, or a simple public mention. Research shows that recognition from peers and authority figures boosts motivation more effectively than rewards alone. When you see your efforts yielding tangible results, you will no longer feel the need to hide them. Continuing with our school, let's set up a rule. Once a month, ask one or two teachers to trade their usual lessons for why I fell in love with the subject session. They can talk about the mistake that made them obsessed, the late night experiment, or the professor who once told them they wouldn't make it but they did. Offer them organize those talking sessions. It's an exchange, and you would be surprised how the tone of the room changes when teachers speak as humans. Students stop perceiving passion as too much, since when they see adults model vulnerability and passion, it gives permission to do the same. According to a 2019 study by Jalal, emotional openness from teachers increases students' willingness to participate and express genuine interest. And lastly, if you're only beginning to explore your passions in our dream school, show initiative in front of those who will understand you completely, the teachers. Flip the roles completely. Try to organize the Student Experts Day, starting with your class or a club. Each student will present something they actually care about: robot, painting, research project, a new app, or even the music piece. Invite teachers, parents, maybe a few local entrepreneurs or mentors. For once, make the adults the learners. It's not the usual self-government's day where students pretend to teach math to third graders. This time, you will teach what you actually know and want to convey. Suddenly, curiosity and competence will become status. When students are seen publicly as experts, the social dynamic flips. Passion becomes the source of respect and not the reason of the mockery. So, why should we only dream when we just built our school from scratch? Maybe in the walls of that school, next time, when someone says, "You're trying too hard," the right answer will be, "Thanks, exactly." The moment we stop hiding effort, we start redefining what cool really means. Recognition requires status and makes visible work the currency of respect.